Meera Shankar, former Indian ambassador to the USA, joins us on the story. Welcome, ma'am, to the program. What would you say is the most significant takeaway from the latest Quad meeting?
Well, I think the most significant takeaway is that the meeting was held because, there were question marks about the extent to which Trump would embrace continuity in policy with the Biden administration. The Quad, of course, was resurrected by Trump himself. And so the expectation was that he would continue with the Quad, and the foreign ministers' meeting of Quad being held almost parallel with the inauguration signals the importance that the Trump administration will attach to the organization. The other, of course, are the usual themes that Quad has been focusing on for quite some time. The fact that they have condemned efforts to change the status quo by use of force, the fact that they have reaffirmed their commitment to a free, open, prosperous Indo-Pacific governed by the rule of law. And then they have stressed cooperation in the maritime domain, in critical resilience of critical supply chains and technological cooperation. These are all themes which have been a constant for Quad, and it's reassuring that these themes are going to be carried forward by the Trump administration.
Okay, and why do you suppose US President Donald Trump has delayed imposing tariffs immediately on China, Mexico and Canada as he had promised during his election campaign?
Well, he has asked his officials to come back with a report on US trade deficits and on foreign, unjust or unfair trade practices. Now, once he gets the report, he promises to actually impose tariffs in February on Canada and Mexico. 25% is what he's saying. But he will also look at other countries at that stage. I think this is a signal of a somewhat more deliberative process, but he wants to focus on the key trading partners with whom the US has the biggest deficits, and those would be China, Canada, Mexico. With China, Trump has signaled considerable moderation of policy because during his campaign, he was threatening 60% tariffs on all Chinese imports. Post his election, he's been saying 10% additional tariffs on Chinese imports, but he also wants to visit China within the first 100 days. His team has been in touch with the Chinese government through the back channel. He himself has spoken to Xi Jinping. So I suppose he's not ruling out the possibility of a trade deal with China at this stage, because that's what he did in his first term. He had a trade deal with China where China undertook to import hundreds of billions of dollars of more goods from the United States, but was not implemented because COVID struck shortly thereafter and most trade came to a standstill. So I think he's holding off perhaps to see A, what his officials report, and B, to maybe give himself the possibility of a trade deal.
India has apparently not been mentioned by President Trump in his latest statement on tariffs. Why do you think that is?
Well, that's because we are not a major trading partner. Our trade with the US, both in goods and services combined, is a little less than $200 billion. It's broadly balanced as well. India has a small trade surplus, which varies from $20 billion to about $30 billion on an average. So that is nothing compared to the hundreds of billions of dollars in trade deficits that the US has with its major trading partners. And those are going to be the key focus right now. I think with India, it's more likely to be, you know, push in specific sectors where there may be US corporate interest. I don't think it's going to be something across the board, but last time we saw him push, for instance, on the Harley Davidson, because those motorbike riders are a key constituency of his. So you could expect him to come to India with sectoral demands based on US constituency pressure. But I don't think India is one of the key trading partners of the US, and our trade is broadly balanced with the US. So even if they take action against us, it may not have much of an impact on dealing with US trade deficits.
Okay. Democratic-led states and civil rights groups have filed a number of lawsuits challenging President Trump's bid to abolish birthright citizenship. What does the US Constitution say on the matter? And is President Trump on firm ground on this matter or not?
Well, it is in the US Constitution. Citizenship by birthright is in the US Constitution. So perhaps it might require a constitutional amendment for birthright citizenship to be actually denied. But what Trump may be able to do is to put conditionalities through executive order on grant of birthright citizenship. And what I've heard is that it will still be available for foreign nationals whose children are born in the US, if they are in the US legally, but not for those who have probably, been there illegally, because right now, even illegals whose children are born in the US are entitled to birthright citizenship. So I don't know if they will moderate and instead of an outright ban, look at imposing conditionalities on who is entitled to it.
Okay. We leave it here. Thank you very much, Meera Shankarji, for explaining to us how Trump administration 2.0 might take shape. Thank you for being with us.